We met him on some bright sunny afternoon in Kabul, and he looked like men you see on the street. He was not exceptional. He looked fine, you know. He didn't impress me as anything. I couldn't have imagined that this was a man that would become such a huge part of my life, that he and his family would become people with whom I would be so close as to consider them family. Someone had told me that, I couldn't have imagined. Why, you know, why? Why would he end up being so important to me? We went to Afghanistan just after 9/11 with the hope that we could expose a part of a story that not many were covering, which was that the American forces had gone into Afghanistan to defeat the Taliban, to defeat Al-Qaeda, but they had partnered with these notorious warlords. One of them, leader of them, a guy named General Rashid Dostum. And Rashid Dostum, we knew, was responsible for any number of atrocities. It was really hard to get anyone to talk about Rashid Dostum, and because he was known to be extremely vengeful. People didn't survive talking about him. And so, but we had to get somebody who had inside knowledge of the man. When we met Asad Aribwal, who had one point had actually been one of General Dostum's officers, and he agreed to talk about it. It was like, okay, finally, we're going to get our story. We're going to get something really good.
The general is only 38 years old. His face and experiences are way beyond his age.
When the Russians entered an area, they would destroy the whole village. Children, elders, innocent or guilty people. Dostum's forces would do the same thing. There was always looting and killing. They would consolidate power this way. People were scared and tried to flee, but they would be shot. I was watching my country be destroyed, and I was not able to do anything. Today, when Karzai says he wants to end the warlord system, I am ready to work with him.
I wanted to support his desire to speak his mind, and I wanted him to say what he had to say about Rashid Dostum. So we had mutual interest in this. And we went to his home. He invited us to dinner. It was a very nice gesture. We went and had dinner with his wife and his 5 children. Lovely, charming people. Especially the oldest child, his daughter, Robina, whose nickname was Ruby. And Ruby was just a live wire of a girl. And so I felt myself really drawn to them. But I still wouldn't have thought that I would keep in touch with them. In journalism, we don't get involved in our stories. We don't get involved in the people in them. That's not ethical. You can't have a relationship any more than a lawyer has a relationship with a client or a doctor with a patient, you know. You're done. You don't look back, you go. But there was just something about this family that was different. It's been a long time. Good to see you. So I stayed in touch over the years and went back to see them in 2006 and did another interview with Asad, and he never gave any indication that he was in trouble. I went to Pakistan after Benazir Bhutto was assassinated. I found out while I was there that the family was living in Pakistan. They had left Afghanistan and couldn't return without facing possibly being killed themselves. And I this was shocking. Why? What had created this calamity for them? Why would they be living in Pakistan? Why did they flee for their lives, with nothing? And so I went to see them in Pakistan, and I learned that Rashid Dostum had found out that he had said these things, that Assad had done these documentaries with us, and that he had been told he's going to die because of that. That if he didn't leave the country, if he didn't leave Afghanistan, he would be killed. This is a man who followed his own moral compass. In a country that you don't step out of line. He felt compelled to tell the truth, and he had done that for me in this documentary. And I thought, I know that my rules are that you don't get involved, that you don't look back, but this time it's different. I can't leave this man, I can't leave this family. I have to do whatever I can to get them out of this. I thought logically Canada would be the country I could get him into, but first you had to get him officially designated as a convention refugee, he and his family. And I thought, okay, well that's we just write this down and submit it, and they'll process it. There's millions of refugees. There's tens of millions of refugees. I mean, yeah, it's logical that he will be accepted into their ranks. They spent years going from place to place trying to find some safe refuge within Peshawar, Pakistan. Or they just lived in these horrible conditions and living in fear all the time. There were two sources of fear. One was that Rashid Dostum was possibly just his people, his agents were everywhere. He had become the vice president of Afghanistan. But at the same time, they were living in Pakistan, where the Pakistanis were really sick and tired of all the Afghan refugees. There were millions of them living in that country, and wanted them gone. And through it all, we were just trying to navigate this impossible labyrinth of bureaucracy that the United Nations and then the Canadian government put in our way. 8 years. At one point, Ruby wrote me a note. She said, "Day by day, we are breaking down, especially my dad. We are trying to be strong. Please don't worry, everything will be fine." By the end of that month, her father was in hospital. He was just suffering from so much stress that his heart was giving out. But there were times I thought, this is hopeless. Something's going to happen. That General Rashid Dostum is going to get them, or the Pakistani authorities are going to get them, or something's going to happen. And I won't get them out of this danger. We did. On our way. I can't fathom leaving everything you know behind with no expectation that you'll be able to go back for a very long time, if ever. Hi, Thomas, it's Carol. Have you found them? They got off the plane and they just sat down outside the plane. They were scared. Do you know how long it might take, Thomas? Okay, thanks, Thomas. Okay, bye. They're being processed. They found them. Open the doors. It's okay now. It's okay. It's okay. You're here. You're here. Do I have regrets? I regret what I did. I regret the danger I put them in. I don't regret the story I did. It was a necessary story, and we both agreed that we had to tell that story, but I regret all the things that happened. I don't regret having met them. I don't regret having helped them, and I love having them in my life here in Canada. They became part of my life. They're family. I mean, I see them as family. They see me as family. I will see them. The kids get married. I'll know their children. I'll see them grow up. You know, I know that's going to happen.